Well, I've got some good news and some bad news regarding the Eachine Wizard X220HV. This is the 6S freestyle model that I reviewed a couple of days ago, and you can probably spot the bad news straight away. Check out all of that mud, and we have got a broken arm. Do you fancy helping me clean that out? I don't even want to look at it at the moment. But I reviewed this guy a couple of days ago, and the biggest issue that I had with it was there was a ripple of noise when you went up on the throttle on the camera. And I tried all sorts of things like adding a capacitor to the battery line here, and I also added a capacitor to the VTX as well. I also switched out the 5 volts because I thought maybe it's noise coming from the 5 volt regulator. So the VTX also has a 5 volt in it, so I switched that out, and none of that made any difference. And I was looking down the comments on the review of this guy, and I think it was somebody called DillyGaff FPV. They said, did you try shielding the antenna at the back? And I did try that, and it didn't work. And then I thought to myself, of course that is going to be the problem. The battery cable goes right underneath the VTX, so no matter what you do, you're always going to get that RF interference through to the VTX. So the fix was to put the battery connector direct to the ESCs, and that got rid of a lot of the noise. Not all of it though, so it still needed a 50 volt capacitor. Now, the reason why it's in this condition is that it just did a death roll. And I think there are two possibilities. Either this ESC has gone, because when it crashed you can hear the tones of the ESC reset. In fact, I wish I'd have filmed it, but I actually did a couple of line of sights with it after it did its first death roll, and this motor wasn't spinning whatsoever. And I mentioned in my review that the heat shrink on the motors comes very close to the bow, and this one is very, very close, and I just wonder whether it caught to the point where the motor kept stopping, because I upped the digital idle to something crazy. It was nearly lifting off the ground, so it wasn't that. So yeah, I think it's either the heat shrink catching on the motor and causing it to stop, and maybe that has put heat into the ESC and damaged the ESC, or the ESC is damaged anyways, and unfortunately you cannot buy the ESC. I'm sure at some point you can, but yeah, this one is just completely dead now until they release the ESC. I did notice, you know, there are some gaps between the pins on the flight controller, and I just wonder if there is one that is just not connecting, but I don't think it is that. I think it's, like I say, a damaged ESC or a motor bow catching these wires. So yeah, bit of a shame. And yeah, the good news though is most of the noise is gone, so I will show you a video of that, and you'll also get to enjoy it smashing into the ground, and I can no longer fly it. So this video is really for anybody that has purchased this guy already and is trying to get rid of the video noise. But as for, you know, the arm breaking and the death rolls, well, what can I say? I don't know how you can fix that. All I will say is up that digital idle speed, because maybe the first death roll was because the idle speed was too low, and then that caused the ESC to break. Who knows? Anyways, I'm going to leave you with some footage, and as always, thanks so much for watching. Please continue to subscribe. Cheers.